Imagine for a moment the quiet hum beneath existence, a current so subtle that most rush past it, never noticing. Yet when your soul is attuned, you feel it like a secret melody threading through everything. This is what it means to vibrate high, not fireworks of emotion or endless bliss, but a radiant stillness, as if your heart is resonating with the music of eternity. Many believe a high vibration means constant joy, an escape from pain, or the denial of shadow, but Jung would tell us it is far deeper. To vibrate high is to live in resonance with the archetypal patterns that shape reality itself, to touch the divine currents hidden beneath appearances. Today, we will explore 4 important signs that reveal when your soul is vibrating high in the divine realm. These are not markers of worldly achievement or fleeting happiness, but inner transformations that signal you are walking closer to eternal truth. When we speak of the divine realm, Jung invites us to think not of a faraway heaven, but of the eternal dimension within the psyche. It is the field of archetypes, the source from which all myths, symbols, and dreams flow. To vibrate high in this realm does not mean bypassing sorrow or pretending away the heaviness of human life. Instead, it means carrying suffering into the light of meaning, allowing it to be transformed rather than denied. Jung often said that the self, the central archetype of wholeness, is both the guiding presence and the final goal of our journey. When you begin to vibrate at a higher frequency, it is because you are living in closer rhythm with this inner self, hearing its voice more clearly through the noise of the world. The 4 signs we will explore are not random traits but mythic indicators. They reveal that your soul is no longer bound by ego's limitations, but aligned with divine archetypal currents that move through all of existence. Sign number 1, a deep serenity amid chaos. Imagine the world storming around you, voices raised, events shifting, uncertainty pressing like heavy winds against your chest. Yet within, your soul rests like a still lake reflecting the heavens. This serenity is not apathy, nor is it denial of reality's turbulence. It is a state where the surface of life may churn, but the depths remain unmoved, anchored in something greater than passing circumstances. When you are vibrating high in the divine realm, this is the first unmistakable sign, an inner stillness that does not fracture under outer noise. From Jung's perspective, such serenity reflects a movement beyond the tyranny of the ego. The ego, ever grasping for control, panics when the world feels unstable. It demands answers, solutions, guarantees. But in the higher state, the self, the archetype of wholeness, emerges as your guiding center. It steadies you, like a great tree whose roots reach so deep that no storm can uproot it. This does not mean you no longer feel the chaos. The winds still whip your face, the rains still drench you, but you are not lost in them. You observe, you endure, you carry, and yet within you rests a sanctuary untouched. The shadow tension lies in mistaking serenity for indifference. To vibrate high is not to float above the struggles of life. Ignoring suffering or pretending pain does not exist. It is to hold the full weight of tension without collapsing beneath it. You do not numb yourself, but rather open to all that is, and still you remain steady. This calm is not given cheaply. It is the fruit of individuation, the long and often painful journey of aligning ego and self, shadow and light, human and divine. Out of this inner work blossoms a peace that is not fragile, but eternal. In time's turbulence, you embody eternity's calm. You become, in a sense, a mirror of the divine realm itself, radiating stillness not because life is easy, but because you are rooted in what does not pass away. This is serenity as a vibration, not a mood. It is who you are when aligned with the eternal. And so I ask, do you notice moments where chaos rages, yet your soul feels quietly unshaken? Sign number 2, heightened synchronicities and divine timing, numbers repeating, dreams aligning with reality, a book opening to the exact words you needed. These are not accidents, but whispers from the unseen. When your vibration rises, the ordinary fabric of life begins to shimmer with patterns that feel too precise to dismiss. You start to notice that chance meetings are not chance at all, but threads woven by an intelligence larger than the mind can grasp. In Jung's language, this is synchronicity, the mysterious meeting of inner and outer worlds, where psyche and cosmos conspire to reveal meaning. It is as if the self, that deeper center beyond the ego, is speaking in symbols across time, arranging encounters, signs, and subtle echoes to guide your path. And yet here lies the shadow tension. To recognize synchronicity is not to crown yourself as uniquely chosen or to believe the universe bends solely for your story. That inflation of the ego severs the very connection that synchronicity seeks to reveal. These signs are not declarations of your superiority, but reminders of your belonging within the vast and sacred order of existence. They humble as much as they uplift, showing that your life is woven into a greater tapestry. The soul path of synchronicity is not about seeking signs everywhere, but about seeing clearly when they come and bowing to the rhythm they reveal. It is about learning to walk in step with divine timing, trusting that what you need arrives not a moment too early and not a moment too late. This is not passive waiting, but active alignment, where your choices and the unfolding of the world seem to harmonize like notes in a hidden symphony. When you live attuned in this way, the mundane becomes miraculous, and the flow of existence feels alive with dialogue. The more you honor these signs without clinging to them, the more fluidly life begins to move, as though you are being carried by a current that has always known your destination. And so the question arises, when coincidences arrive with a sacred weight, do you recognize them as confirmations that you are resonating with something beyond yourself? That the divine is, in its quiet way, speaking to you? Sign number 3, radiant compassion that flows naturally. When your vibration rises, something subtle yet unmistakable begins to shine from you. Your very presence becomes a balm, a quiet healing that asks for nothing in return. People find themselves exhaling more deeply in your company, as if the weight they've been carrying has finally been acknowledged by the silence between your words. This is not the compassion that drains or exhausts, but the compassion that renews, like spring water flowing endlessly from an unseen source. In Jungian terms, this is the awakening of archetypes that live in the collective psyche: the wise old man, the wise woman, the bodhisattva. These figures embody a compassion that is not rooted in pity or condescension, but in the recognition that the suffering of one is the suffering of all. It is compassion born from union, a felt awareness that life is interconnected. But as always, shadow lingers at the edge. Compassion distorted becomes people-pleasing, martyrdom, or the inability to set boundaries. Too often we confuse saying yes to everyone with being kind, when in truth, such self-erasure breeds resentment and imbalance. True compassion is discerning. It knows that saying no can sometimes be the most loving act, for it protects the soul, preserves integrity, and honors the divine spark within oneself as much as within others. In this sense, compassion is not sentimental. It is transformative. It is the force that allows you to look into the eyes of another and without words affirm, "You are not alone." When your vibration heightens, you become less of an individual acting from effort and more of a channel through which divine love flows, steady, unforced, and inexhaustible. This does not mean you give endlessly until you collapse. It means that love circulates through you like breath. What you extend outward returns to you multiplied, leaving you whole rather than emptied. And so the measure of your compassion is not in how much you sacrifice, but in how deeply your presence uplifts without depleting. Notice how those around you feel lighter, calmer, more at peace in your company. That is not your ego at work, but divine resonance moving through you. True compassion is not an act, it is a state of being. Sign number 4, a living dialogue with the divine self. As your vibration rises, a subtle but undeniable shift occurs. The still, small voice within no longer feels like mere imagination or fleeting fancy. It resonates as truth, guiding you through the labyrinth of daily life. This is the unmistakable mark of a soul vibrating in the divine realm. An intimate, living conversation with the self, the archetypal God image within your own psyche. You begin to notice that life itself responds to this dialogue. Dreams speak with clarity, intuition offers guidance before the mind can grasp it, and symbols appear in everyday moments, carrying meaning that feels larger than yourself. Jung called this process individuation, the unfolding of the self in conscious awareness, a meeting of ego and eternal archetype that allows the psyche to harmonize with the greater patterns of existence. Yet as with all high vibration signs, shadow tension is present. Not every inner voice is divine. The ego is cunning, cloaking desire, fear, or pride in convincing whispers. Discernment becomes essential. You learn to sift what arises from ego delusion from what emerges as archetypal truth. This is not a one-time revelation, but an ongoing practice, a continuous tuning of your perception to the subtle frequencies of the self. Vibrating high does not remove challenges or suffering, but it transforms how you experience them. Life itself becomes a sacred conversation, and even obstacles are woven into the dialogue as teachers, symbols, and mirrors of the inner world. Each choice, each intuition, each synchronicity now feels imbued with meaning, as if the eternal is speaking directly through the ordinary. The path is never linear, yet the consistency of this inner guidance reveals that your soul is walking in alignment with the divine. And so I invite you to pause and reflect. In the quiet moments, in the subtle nudges and dreams, are you listening deeply enough to hear the divine whisper within and allowing it to shape the cadence of your life, your choices, and your being? When you do, you discover that the highest vibration is not a distant state to achieve, but a living relationship with the eternal self that has always been present. These 4 signs are not separate, isolated traits, but interwoven threads in the tapestry of a soul vibrating in the divine realm. Serenity amid chaos, heightened synchronicities, radiant compassion, and a living dialogue with the self together reveal the rhythm of a higher vibration. From Jung's perspective, this is the patient shaping of our being through individuation, God's work moving gently but insistently within the psyche, guiding us toward wholeness. To vibrate high is not a fleeting mood or an escape from difficulty, but the embodiment of that wholeness in everyday life. It is noticing the subtle messages life places before you, honoring the flow of synchronicities, carrying compassion without losing your center, trusting the stillness that remains even in storm, and maintaining a steady conversation with the self. Each of these threads strengthens the others. Serenity deepens your perception of signs, compassion opens you to synchronicities, dialogue with the self informs the way you carry peace, and awareness of divine timing nurtures empathy. Even hearing these words now is part of that dialogue, a quiet proof that you are already attuned to the higher currents moving through your life. This attunement is not earned or grasped through effort. It is recognized, acknowledged, and allowed to flow. If these words reach you in this moment, it is because your soul already vibrates in resonance with the divine realm, and the signals have found their way to you. There is no need to seek outward confirmation or applause. The very resonance you feel as you listen is the sign itself. The quiet stirring in your heart, the subtle recognition of these truths, is evidence that your life is already in alignment with the eternal. And so I leave you with this question. What if the fact that you are here, listening, absorbing these words, is the proof that you already walk within the eternal, that the divine pulse has been present in your every step? This is Echoes of Psyche, where the wisdom within speaks.